All right, now I would love to give this media reporter a bump, but somebody had the audacity to ask Dana White if Brock Lesnar was coming back for UFC 300. Somebody actually asked that question. Now, this is a week after we put to rest the idea that Ronda was coming back to UFC 300. And the only reason I would say that I got to give that media member a bump, just so you know, newsflash for all of you, Brock Lesnar suspended. I've heard a number of you say that Brock is coming back and Brock is going to fight. Not just now. You've done this for years. Brock got suspended after his last fight in a class action lawsuit that Mark Hunt later launched. Take the word class action out of it. I used the wrong term. I'm just sharing with you. He never did that time. Not only did he not do the time, at one point, that was in Nevada, he had to come and do a hearing, which he skipped, and he owes a fine, which he never paid. That was a long time ago. Perhaps he sent the check. So what part of that story do I have wrong? I'll admit there could be something that I haven't heard about. He's suspended. That part I'm completely right about. And you keep forgetting that. And so for any reporter to ask the question and be such a newbie, right? You're bringing in an old man who left the sport because he was thrown out of it. He's got jurisdiction issues. He's got USADA over his head. Oh, and by the way, he just retired from fake fighting. If you can't fake fight anymore, how are you going to go and do a real fight? I mean, not for nothing. And you always want to use history as the greatest trajectory to the future. So UFC 300 isn't the first time we've seen it. It will be the third time that we've seen it. UFC 100, let me ask you a question. Did they bring back any dinosaurs? No matter how popular or beloved, did they bring back a dinosaur or not? If they did, then we could reasonably expect that they're going to do it again. Did they do it? Answer the question. Now, let's just fast forward to UFC 200. Did they bring back any dinosaurs? Like, was that a shtick that they needed? And at this point in time, do you not realize when that was done that it was for a shtick? Because they were really quite open about it. When ticket sales weren't going well or pay-per-views weren't going well, they tried to think in a number of different directions. But that was long gone by 2005. Just to share with you. Now, let's say you did bring back an old dog. Let's just say that you have that level. Do I gotta call you stupid? I don't want to call you stupid. But is there another word? If you have another word, I would prefer to use that. Let's say that you did that. These spots are coveted, okay? If you can get a placement on UFC 300, you want it. Now, where you would fight and claw to be a main event, you're gonna realize it's gonna be a little bit more difficult on a card like that because they're gonna have multiple championship fights, and allegedly there's a policy. I'm well aware we're gonna adhere to the rules we make up on the spot, but allegedly there's a policy that on a night of multiple title fights, the heaviest weight goes last. So I just share with you, even if you're a main event guy, you could be third from the top. George St. Pierre, who was the biggest draw in the sport, was a co-main event at UFC 100 because of his size, allegedly. So, Daniel Cormier was not a main event at UFC 200 because his opponent wouldn't agree to the 5 rounds. And even though Daniel was champion, it became a non-title match. I believe that is the only time in UFC history that a champion has fought and the championship was not on the line. I don't believe that has ever happened before. So that's what I'm just sharing with you. Like, it's a very different spot. So let's say you're one of these guys. You're in a coveted spot. You're fighting for these, and they bring in a dinosaur? And that dinosaur gets their own locker room in the back? Like a main event gets? Like a title fight gets? That dinosaur is getting taken around in the special cars and not having to get on the bus like the main event and the title fight gets? That dinosaur stayed in the biggest, fanciest suite at the hotel like the main event and the title fight gets? You know what you would do to morale? I mean, not for nothing. You're not going to sell a single more ticket. Like, that's a gimmick that you reach for when you have to reach for. But that time ended 28 years ago. I did my math wrong, didn't I? But in 2005, 18 years ago, There's no precedence for that. And it just makes you a little bit stupid to ask it. So I just want to real calmly let you know Brock is suspended. Not only is he not coming back, he can't come back because when he got suspended, he didn't go serve it. He told them to shove it up their ass. Just so you know. And it's one of these really interesting spots where when you're going to go and run, let me give you a great example. I've avoided giving you this example for 5 minutes and 30 seconds because I feel like it could hurt somebody's feelings, but it shouldn't. I don't want it to. And it's a really great lesson that you need to know. Okay. The first time that I saw The Rock speak at a UFC event was the second time that the UFC ever went to Madison Square Garden. It was a massive event. And it was for something known as the BMF title, which had never been done before. And The Rock came in a day early and he addressed a very solid focus group, a very hardcore base that had come to see the weigh-ins and to see the press conference. Now, that's a different level of commitment than somebody that will go to a fight. There's people that win tickets on the radio, just by example. There's people, their buddies going, their boyfriends going, they're going to take, they've never been before. They have a really great time, but they're not that level of fan, right? I mean, can you relate to that? They don't even know what they're looking at. They got the program, they're going through it. Hey, how many fights are left? What's that mean? They got a belt down there? Okay. When you go to a press conference on a weekday during work hours, or you go to a weigh-in on a weekday during work hours, you're another level of fan. And The Rock comes out and he talks to this fan base. And he tells them about a movie he's going to make. And he tells them it's an MMA movie and it's going to be on the Smashing Machine Mark Kerr, but he said it's going to be on your own, right? He was trying to win it. It's going to be on your own hero. The Smashing Machine Mark Kerr. He said beautiful things about Mark Kerr. Then I got him. Oh man, The Rock, he could do an awesome Mark Kerr. I know the Mark Kerr story. It's great. The crowd was silent. And you should have seen the look on The Rock's face. This is the highest paid actor in Hollywood. And he broke character for a full second, which is a very long time. This was a highly awkward second. His face changed completely. He thought maybe they didn't hear him. He thought maybe the microphone had cut out. He's never spoke about that movie again, and that movie never got made. What I'm sharing with you is how fast it changes. So while you got a local yokel reporter that could ask a question of the boss and say Brock Lesnar at the same time and think he's going to get clickbait, and he would have. It's that same local yokel that thought he could say the name of Ronda to the boss and get a reaction. It's the same fans that are going to be looking around going, who is this? Why are they full of wrinkles in the face? And where are the stars that I've been following for the last half a decade?